Welcome to Commerce Media Matters, your go-to podcast for unpacking the world of commerce media. Here, we catch up with industry leaders on news, research, insights, perspectives, and everything in between.
Hi, I'm Nick Morgan, founder and CEO at Voodoo.
And I'm Paul Blackburn, Chief Strategy Officer at Voodoo. If you've been paying attention, you know retail media is having its moment. Brands are investing, retailers are evolving, and everyone's trying to figure out the space in which we're working. So today, we've got the perfect guest to break it all down for us. Melissa Polglase, Head of Category Marketing and Retail Media at David Jones Amplify. She's been at the intersection of marketing, media, and brand strategy for years, working across fashion, beauty, luxury, you name it. And now she's leading the charge in unlocking premium retail media opportunities in one of Australia's most iconic brand names. We're going to chat about what makes David Jones' approach to retail media unique, the role of media in driving conversions, and where brands should be focusing their energy in this evolving space. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Lots of hot topics to chat about today.
Absolutely.
Great to have you on board. Hey, Melissa, you've had a dynamic career journey transitioning from shopping centre retail marketing now into leading retail media initiatives. How have you seen retail media evolve, particularly with physical in-store experiences to digital?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in my past career, obviously in shopping centres, working for big landlords like Westfield and GPT, they had a quite progressed program of sort of in-mall media, casual mall leasing, etc. That sort of was the beginnings of what we now, I think, call retail media. I think interestingly in shopping centres, it's sort of a bit out of the frying pan into the fire, jumping into an actual retailer. Shopping centres look at a lot of footfall and that's your sort of main data, and then maybe a little bit into sales, but certainly on the retail media side of things, particularly working with endemic brands and in the model that we have here at David Jones Amplify, it really is that closed loop. So you're not just, oh yes, the stores were busy and everyone saw your message. It's that full funnel approach where you can sort of go right down to, well, what was the impact on customer? What was the impact on sales? And obviously, powering all of that is technology that has come in that time and our access to customer data and analytical tools to sort of drive that approach. And customers also themselves have become a bit more sophisticated in the platforms, and our channel mix and channel opportunities exploded in the 20 odd years that I've been in this industry.
Absolutely.
And that's been amazing to see as well, how marketers have been able to harness that power.
And it's really having a moment at the moment, isn't it? Like retail media, because that promise that you said, the technology, the knowledge of the customer and their expectations that retail media is a part of their everyday lives is meaning that it's really having a moment. And so David Jones Amplify, you launched a couple of years or 2 years ago now, is that right?
Not quite. We announced that we were going to launch back end of 2023, and then we've been operational since the beginning of last year. So we're just into our second operational year.
Great.
So can you tell us a little bit about the vision behind it and the journey that you've taken so far to get to where you are?
Absolutely. I mean, we're a 187-year-old department store this year, David Jones. Oldest department store in the world, trading under the same name. So that comes with lots of opportunity in terms of the richness of our offer, the richness of our customer data that we've been able to build over that time, and our status in the Australian market as sort of an iconic Australian brand.
Absolutely.
And certainly with that, we saw very clearly the opportunity to think about what else, what could we bring to life in the department store using all the beautiful foundations that a department store like David Jones has, and what does the future look like? We were very lucky. Our CMO, James Holloman, had joined the business in 2021 and immediately also had seen that opportunity. So I'd been in the business around that long as well. And we instantly started working on, well, what could that look like? What could that shape up? He'd had some experience in other markets in the retail media space and certainly was able to bring that to our business. And being a quick learner, absolutely jumped on board and saw that opportunity. So for us, it's about the vision of giving access to Australia's most premium audience and being the number one marketing ecosystem or media ecosystem, connecting brands to Australia's most premium audience, because we are that iconic brand offer in the retail landscape in this country. So huge opportunity.
When I think of premium experiences and premium brands, for some reason I just naturally think of endemic brands, especially when it comes to commerce media and retail media. I think they go well together so well. You're seeing a lot of those endemic kind of opportunities with your footprint with David Jones. How's that progressing?
Yeah, the endemic opportunities have been fantastic. I think the transition and working with our brand partners for them to consider retail media from where we've come from in trade marketing spend and what that looks like as you transition to retail media and then the incremental opportunities of attracting and investing your marketing dollars, your brand dollars, which in the past, in the old sort of department store, trade marketing, shopper marketing world wasn't really a space that brands considered they could leverage. But for endemic brands, I mean, we have their customer. That's why they're choosing to be stocked in our store to begin with, and being able to enhance even further their opportunity to speak to the customer at the closest point to purchase, sort of the promise of retail media, and then have that sort of a full look with sales and customer impacts being linked, which hasn't traditionally happened with trade marketing. So our brands have been super responsive, and certainly a lot of brands, particularly in the beauty space, have been very engaged and are accelerating their engagement with us and their investment with us, because they absolutely see that opportunity to sort of take on some of the new tools and channels that we've been able to deliver as part of retail media and harness that to drive sales and customer engagement.
With those brands, you've got a history of supporting their brand in store with the store within a store approach. I mean, I think David Jones does it better than anybody in terms of you walk into George Street and you walk past the store within a store and you've already proven over time that you're able to support their brands, which I think is a lot of where the retail media conversation is at the moment for brands is how do I get my brand to the interaction with my brand to feel like my brand if I'm using retail media? And you guys are probably in a sweet space. Have you put a lot of focus into that?
We have put a lot of focus into that. I think when you shift from having that sort of department store mindset to a media owner mindset, and you're looking at retail media in your department store business as a advertising platform, you naturally expand your view and your lens on what brands can deliver and how they can play. So in the past as well, that transition has been we'd often want to put our lens on it and have a bit more say and input into what brand comms maybe look like. But certainly that shift over has, for particularly global brands that have very strict guidelines, opened up so many more opportunities, because like, no, we're happy to deliver your creative in our channels. What we're offering is our channels. Yes, we can extend into some areas of content and production with you and partner with you in that way, but you can buy our channels. And obviously you brought up a good point. Amplify is just one part of our business. Obviously department store is the other, and that's the balance for the brands as well. So not just pay to play, but what we call sort of department store marketing or pure marketing, and how we couple those things together. So when you are a key player or a key brand in our mix, what are we delivering as a baseline as a department store to drive your business forward? But then when you want to grow your share of voice and you really want to double down, there is this amazing suite of channels that you can absolutely invest in to make sure that you're, delivering to your objectives and accelerating your growth in that way. So it's a nice balance between the two.
That's a nice segue into where we're going with the next question. I mean, is around the strategic partnerships that you have. And you've got that, like you said, you've got the digital capability, you've got the knowledge of the client, the knowledge of the in-store piece, and you can even do the experiential really well. And I think,
so much.
I mean, I came from News Corp, and the Vogue's Fashion Nights Out stuff that you do delivers that experience that you can have for a brand that is up close and personal. And that's an interesting part of the mix. You're working with all of those channels. What other channels are you working with?
As I said, the thing with retail media at the moment, it's such a fledgling industry. And I think with Amplify, what we've really been able to establish quite quickly is that it is that full funnel approach. So I think when a lot of people think retail media, they do just think maybe about the data layer, about the first party data, targeting, on-site, off-site. But certainly for us, it's, Brand X, what's the job to be done? That can be everything from an immersive in-store experience in any of our spaces, whether that's a private event or a masterclass or a pop-up in a high-traffic area that's staffed and immersive, or a beautiful interactive display. The choice is theirs. And then how you take that customer on the journey from research online to purchase offline. So where are you showing up off-site? They're coming to the site, they're researching, and showing up.
It's a powerful proposition, isn't it?
It is.
It really
right
is.
Through to the store, right through to the point of sale, to making that purchase in store or online.
I'm quite impartial to anything that happens in your champagne bar, and I'm really pumped that you're doing a champagne bar in the Chatswood store and it's on its way because it's my local store.
It is. Chatswood's going to be the jewel in the crown, joining our other flagships, not as a flagship, but certainly as our store of the future is what we're calling Chatswood. And with that, we are very excited to bring to market some incremental opportunities for things like the champagne bar and what the sponsorship of that looks like, and what are the opportunities that sit aside it.
So what's the date of that opening, by the way? I'm just going to jot that down, that champagne bar. I just wouldn't mind. I'll make sure I'm in Sydney for that weekend.
Sure. I mean, I'm going to hopefully bring some champagne bars to Melbourne. So let's keep our eyes on the prize. Yeah.
And I know it's early days with the Chatswood store, but there's sort of the one floor that sort of looks a little bit new. And I can already see where you could integrate some great retail media opportunities in that sort of big, spacious, luxurious layout. It doesn't seem as close in. It really does feel like, you can walk past the Dyson setup and it seems like that, what we were talking about before, that store within a store for someone like Dyson versus walk over to the La Crusade section. And so there's really some great opportunities, I think, for media in-store and so forth.
And with Chatswood as well as for that store of the future, we've tested and trialled some of the elements in our other refurbs recently. Burke Street Beauty, our level 3, certainly Burwood we relaunched last year. And as we've launched this retail media business, the consideration into that store layer, we have a national store network and that's the bulk of our customers are interacting with us in those environments. With Store of the Future is about those flex spaces. It is about the digital screens. We've got an amazing, very large format digital screen going onto one of the key entries. I think it's something like 7 meters wide. So those high impact opportunities to drive people in and then they have that incredible physical experience, but maybe we've sent them an email about it. Maybe they've seen a brand promoting in offsite. And I think also the other piece to play there is not just for endemic, but non-endemic. So we also feel like we're able to offer spaces and experiences for those complementary premium lifestyle brands that are not stocked at David Jones to really bring that offer to life. And for our customer, that's really about positioning David Jones as an aspirational lifestyle, not just a retailer.
I think that the opportunity for non-endemic brands in premium spaces, as I've just said before, is a phenomenal opportunity that I don't think they're actually capitalizing on yet. I've seen a number of networks pop up in different markets, such as United Airlines Connective, I think it is. We saw incredible opportunity for non-endemic brands to really be in those spaces. I think it's a great opportunity for non-endemic brands in Australia to lean into your offering. You've got an incredible audience. You've got so much information. You can create these really connected experiences and these online, offline experiences. Phenomenal opportunity. I love it. I want to see more of it.
Yeah, we're absolutely charging ahead, full steam, working with more brand partners in that way, non-endemic brand partners particularly. And then the opportunity for them to also integrate with our endemic brand partners and that contextual relevance. So
yeah, contextual and collab stuff. I just love it.
When you're seeing a beautiful travel opportunity and you're in the luggage department or the swimwear department in the middle of Australian winter and you're seeing an ad or you're having an experience, that contextual relevance just can't be offered by a traditional media owner. And we love that about what we've been able to deliver with Amplify, and that's absolutely where we're seeing a lot of traction.
Awesome.
And speaking of the media owners, the offsite opportunity, are you venturing into that? I mean, obviously you've got such great data, you've got such a great brand, you can facilitate the transaction on behalf of, those cosmetic companies that may not have that same sort of infrastructure that you do. I mean, everyone's talking about that in retail media at the moment, the offsite opportunity for retail media networks. Is that something you're exploring as well?
Absolutely. And we've really run hard at that in the first quarter of this, for the first 2 months. Criteo, we launched last year for on-site, knowing that they have the off-site capability as well. We did a bit of a test and learn with a couple of brands in off-site at the back end of last year, and we're just sort of refining that offer. But certainly off-site now for non-endemics is also starting to pick up. So Criteo, as our ad tech partner that has a variety of products, has been fantastic to work with across endemic and non-endemic. And then we recently signed an agreement also with Pubmatic. So again, offering that opportunity to plug in for agencies to plug in for either endemic or non-endemic brands and access that audience. But that ad tech space has been incredible. There's so much technology and advancement happening to do things in a really clever way, to reduce that wastage, to use the data of first party on actual purchase, not just purchase intent, and do it in a way that's really respectful to the customer and sort of stays true to what one of our other principles, which is the triple win. Like, does this make sense for the customer, the brand, and David Jones as a brand, and really helping that.
I like the triple win. I like that one.
Me too. That's going to stay. We're going to use that. We're taking it.
Sonda gave us that. We worked with them in the early days.
So did you say Sonda gave it to you?
Yeah, they were really, when we worked with them in 3 days before launch, that was one of the key tenets that we really wanted to bake into Amplify. And that's also what the offsite enables, because if we say, okay, this brand absolutely makes sense for our audience, it's going to be a bit jarring to the customer. It doesn't really sit within our environments. It doesn't feel like it should go on our website. It doesn't feel like it should be in our store environment. that brand can still access our audience in that offsite environment, particularly for the non-endemics,
Yes.
in a really meaningful way.
Yeah.
And that really gives us that full funnel opportunity to assess and partner with brands in a range of ways to deliver to their objectives.
Well, that's it. It's fantastic for brand marketers because everyone, you've got to make every single brand dollar almost work as an opportunity for a sale these days. I mean, every marketer's got to show the ROI almost instantly with all the tools they've got at their disposal now. So having you guys as almost a back-end opportunity to drive to a sale point, it should be fantastic for them.
Yeah, definitely the next frontier in it. We think that's going to be a huge accelerator of the growth of Amplify, is that opportunity in the tech space and the audience building space to accelerate.
So look, first party data, it gets Paul and I up in the morning. We both love it and we love everything around it. And it's such a powerful tool and proposition, and globally everyone's leaning right into it.
To be fair, it's what the promise of retail media is. It's that data proposition. What you spoke about, Melissa, before, the closed loop attribution piece is why everyone's so excited about retail media, right?
Absolutely. It is the secret sauce of retail media. I just mentioned it's more than just intent. So you've got all of these other data points that aren't within retail media, that someone looked at something, clicked on something, browsed something. But I always sort of make a joke. It's like the supermarkets can tell you what toothpaste brand someone is buying, but that doesn't necessarily determine whether they can buy a Christian Louboutin shoe or not. It's that next flow through point really for us with that premium audience, which is a key point of difference. And then to your point, Paul, the closed loop attribution. So where it is an endemic brand, having everything in place from a digital perspective, particularly with the Criteo platform, to be able to say, okay, you've invested in display on site, you've invested in sponsored product on site, and here's what has happened. And I think that's that sales attribution piece, which is great. One of the other key tools we use using our first party data is our customer metrics. So being able to understand new to brand, new to category. What was your growth? Did you see them purchase more frequently in that period? Did you see them buy more units in that period? Are they spending more? They're prepared to spend more. Was their average visit value a bit higher on your brand in the time frame that we were working with you on that campaign? And those two together are really complementary. No one has the silver bullet yet of total full funnel attribution. We have stores and we have digital.
Yep.
But certainly that customer metrics piece and the ability to report back on that for endemic brands is, again, part of that secret sauce. And we ran really, really fast and hard. Our customer insights team did an exceptional job to build that data set out in a way that allows us to not just talk about pure sales, which can be impacted by a lot of things, but those customer metrics across the board and segmentation of customer to really get into the nitty-gritty of who's connecting, who's new that's connecting, or, measuring against the objective that isn't always just a sales objective.
I love that, because one of the criticisms that are leveled at retail media as it exists today is that, are you just shifting customers around from brand to brand to brand? So to the toothpaste example, were they already in the category and you've just shifted them from one to another? But those metrics that you talked about, are they coming into a new category? That sort of stuff shows incrementality, and it's not just shifting from one to the other.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's absolutely our intent, to move forward and further enhance that reporting capability and really supercharge that opportunity to then link that back to sort of advertising effectiveness. As I said, no one has the silver bullet to link everything together. And how many touch points does it take? Funnels collapse in some environments, funnels are full in other environments and other journeys.
Yeah.
But certainly that ability to understand new to brand, new to category, new to David Jones. Did we do something in the offsite environment with you that actually attracted not just a new customer for your brand, but a customer we hadn't seen at David Jones before? These metrics have been so powerful in being able to sort of help our brands understand the impact of the activity that we're working with them to plan and deliver.
Looking at those metrics and looking at actually outcomes as well, and seeing we want to deliver on, a sales outcome, a measurable sales outcome. We also want to deliver incremental growth. How are we incrementally growing these customers into a different segment? How are they moving into, aligning with a non-endemic segment? How do you finding your brands and your customers? How's the reception to this really kind of rich data that you're able to put and tie it all together for them?
Yeah, the brand journey has been interesting. We have now quite a lot of data. So distilling that into a really digestible format and making sure that we're delivering, data that is succinct and makes sense to help in decision-making and assessment has been a journey. We're really excited about the amount of data that we have access to now. So naturally you want to share a lot, and you need the tools and the capability in the team. And we've worked with our teams really closely to build capability in how we speak to customer metrics to really help our brands understand what we're telling them. And that's a journey that will continue as we continue to enhance our tools.
Last year, there was a bit of an explosion of retail media, and we've seen it in the States. There's like some 250 companies now operating in the retail media space. It's getting quite congested. I mean, you guys have got a very differentiated offer, as we've discussed so far on the podcast, but where do you think the next wave of innovation will be this year to help the ones that are going to be the really great players stand out? You mentioned Criteo, you mentioned the closed loop attribution piece, but what do you think the next 12 months looks like for innovating in the space?
Yeah, I think, definitely some of the other hot topics we're hearing are around social commerce. And I know you're both heavily involved in that sort of space. Something like 4.5 hours per week is spent by Australians watching short form videos. So that's an interesting space. And how do you collapse the funnel there a little bit to get the outcome a little bit quicker?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, everyone talks about AI. It's on the roadmap. There's great applications for it in data. There's great generative AI for applications in creative. We see it in the future. And we're looking to see what sort of plays out and what's going to be relevant for our offer in that space. Certainly, I think that sort of shoppability of content is a key area, absolutely, for growth, and the right intent. The optimizing the right channel as well, I think, is an area that we'd love to lean into a bit more heavily using the aforementioned tools.
You said the bingo word AI. I'm probably not going to say that phrase again, bingo word AI, because I actually think it's starting to move beyond that. I think companies being able to lean into AI and see the value for what it is becoming quite prevalent. Is that going to be a focus for you guys? Are you looking at AI-specific tools that can help you drive better outcomes for your brand? Is that one of the key innovations for this year?
Yeah, I think one of the key innovations is going to be with integrating AI more heavily into reporting, because that's going to be the unlock to getting closer to the silver bullet everybody is looking for around attribution.
Smart.
In terms of delivery of marketing mix or content, that is down the track. It's not quite yet. I think for us, we're very focused on what we can do to further enhance the reporting. As I said, there's a lot of data. We've got a lot of smart data analysts and working through that. That space in AI is progressing quite quickly, and being able to deliver that sort of attribution, the holdout models, the modeling of if you did nothing, what would have happened? You've done something, this is what's happened, which were the channels that really drove that outcome. In the next 12 months, we'd love to be able to implement some tech into that space, and that's really going to be our focus. Reporting is the hottest topic, I think, in retail media. So we very much are focused on figuring out where we go next with that.
It's the hot topic with all media. I mean, it's just another channel now that the marketer has to consider. I mean, it's a great channel for the aforementioned reasons and why we've got a podcast all about it. We're very passionate about it. But like for a marketer, they've got to be able to get it all working together, don't they? So, that's what the promise, I guess, of AI is. And that reporting layer that you're saying is, how do I get it all to work together?
Yeah.
You still need the expertise. You still need the experienced individuals who can take it all in and add a bit of a human layer. I don't think we're at a point where machines can just do it all for us. You need smart marketers. You need smart customer insights team to support.
I've just taken an easy breath then that you've told me that we've all still got jobs for a little bit longer.
We've all still got jobs. Just putting that out there as energy.
Terminator's not here yet.
You know what you're talking about. You have a job. You have a job to do.
The robots are not coming for our jobs just yet. Hopefully not in our lifetime, right? Or the great robot uprising. That human layer, I think. And there's definitely a limit to what humans can do in terms of understanding and unpicking which channel did better than others, which cohort responded better than others. You could do that to a certain level, but I think that's the supercharge. But you'll always need that experiential, that sort of human experience, I think, laid into that, which is invaluable. And I don't think anyone can teach AI what we've all got in our heads completely. So
yeah,
certainly leveraging it for what it is and optimizing it to deliver great outcomes and great actionable outcomes in a more enhanced way will be, one of the greatest things that AI has delivered us.
Great. Now I'm just going to go into this last question before we go into a quick fire, which Paul is going to run with you, which we love asking his questions. I'm not sure which one you're going to go with, but let me just get into this last one because I think this is important that we want to kind of round out with the Amplify and the David Jones Amplify offering. Melissa, what advice would you give to brands looking to optimize their retail media strategy within the networks like David Jones Amplify?
I think the first thing, and I've flagged this before, is that retail media isn't a channel. It's a set of channels and it's a full funnel opportunity. So I think for brands that want to optimize in retail media, understanding what that retail media network has on offer and how that aligns to the funnel and their objectives within that, and then being able to craft that mix is number one. So it's not just I'm doing my full funnel over here and then retail media just gets slotted into the conversion layer or the consideration layer. It's actually from top to bottom, we can deliver that in our network. And I think all the other networks are in a similar position with the channel mix they offer for that customer. And then also leaning in and leveraging the experience of the retail media team. So I'm very lucky at David Jones. We have a bit of a hybrid approach. So my team of marketers that work with endemic brands are marketers. They are both working within the David Jones business. They inherently understand our ecosystem. They're also delivering campaigns and work for David Jones brand. And that keeps them really super connected and close to the David Jones customer holistically. And brands leaning into that expertise in my team to be able to unpack and unpick and take recommendation. We always say brands know their own brands better than anybody, but we know our channels better than anybody. So listening to us. And one of the most interesting conversations we have with brands that have their own specialty businesses, direct to consumer online or a specialty store network is sometimes the channel mix in department store and our retail media offer. What an email does for you in your specialty business isn't necessarily going to sit in the same part of the funnel of department store. And that's been a learning journey and something that I've really been championing even before Amplify, because it is that house of brands mentality. And where else can you leverage an opportunity to get a customer to be more receptive to your brand, because we put it next to another brand, potentially a competitive brand, but a like-minded brand that makes the customer more receptive and builds that contextual relevance. And people naturally, we know consumer behavior. They lean into brands they already know and love. But then if you can get your brand next to that, that is the ultimate promise of department store. And we have been able to distill that into the way that we go to market and the inventory and channels that we offer and amplify. So you can have your soulless brand moment, and there's a job to be done in that and the way we can deliver in retail media. But there's also the benefit of being able to mix the brands together to deliver that outcome in a different way that you can't do with traditional media and you can't do in your own single brand channels. So I think leaning into that and working with the teams, our retail media team, on what that looks like for your brand. And then similarly in the non-endemic space, it's new. We're offering a lot to non-endemics. We have sort of almost all our channels are completely open to these brands to come and play with us. And that's probably been one of the most fun parts, is thinking about how we offer that connection, not just with first-party data. That's the easy bit. We can build you an audience, off you go.
Oh, yeah.
But how do we help you meaningfully show up in our environment to really deliver you that premium benefit that you're seeking by investing with us? And that's that conversation. So maybe until the industry is more established and everyone knows a lot more detail about Amplify, it's sort of lean in and listen to us. We'll listen to you and then listen to us with the recommendation around how you can really get the most out of our network across the full funnel. We will deliver on the job to be done. So keeping the conversation open and being prepared to test and learn. So it is new. We know a lot about our channels. Sometimes we get pleasantly surprised by unexpected great results. I know we delivered a campaign for a cruise company recently, and we didn't know what the outcome would necessarily be. You can't guarantee the response to a direct mailer, but it exceeded everybody's expectations by tenfold.
Oh, wow.
Which was an incredible outcome. That was a mix of, hey, this channel I think is good for you. We've got the right audience. You've got the right message. Let's put that together and see. And that could have done nothing, but it did something exceptional. So it's that bravery to have a bit of a test and learn approach as well while the industry is establishing. And we want to test and learn with as many brands as possible, because ultimately we want to deliver results for everybody.
Yeah.
And to do that, to fail, you need to win, you need to take the learnings and then move forward. So
yeah, lots of learnings and lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You really know your audience well. Are we finally seeing the end of COVID with return to work, and therefore are we seeing people return back to the physical space, and or are they doing both now? Are they realizing what e-commerce can do, delivery to home and going in store? Because in my sample size of one, I'm doing both. I love my online experience, but I still want to go in store for certain things and the rest of it. And I see them working in tandem. You guys are uniquely placed. What trends can you tell us about that in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. They work in tandem. Obviously, we have a successful online store. Obviously, we have a large network of 39 stores across the country and in New Zealand in that physical space. COVID, I think, is almost a forgotten memory now. There certainly doesn't seem to be any fear of being in the retail space, but it did train people differently, I think, in how to use the two platforms. So the biggest trend we see at David Jones driving that is that ROPO, research online, purchase offline. We have a lot of customers. Obviously, we have about 16% of our channel customers are omnichannel shoppers. So they'll shop, we see them shop in store, we see them shop online. And then across the rest of it, we have a mix of shop only in store, shop only online. So that is a mix. But omnichannel shoppers represent about 16% of our customer base at the moment. But certainly we see from our website sessions versus our in-store purchases that researching online and purchasing offline is key. And people are time poor. I've always said when people spend their time, they spend their money. So getting them into the store and having environments they want to spend time in is one part of it. But also you need the flexibility. So come on to our newly launched app that we launched last October. Look around, look at our website on whichever device at whatever time of day, make your shortlist and come in if you need that low touch convenience. or come and spend the day and we have some beautiful experiences for you through our branded store in stores, through our champagne bars, through our store teams that have a lot of expertise in, how to take you on that journey. So I would say the number one thing for us as a retailer is research online, purchase offline, and how do you make that really seamless and meet the customer where they are? Do I want to be standing in store and scanning a QR code on a garment and then having it shipped to me because I'm traveling and I actually want to get it when I get back? Or do I want to take it with me right now? Or how do I want to have that delivered? Click and collect has been a huge explosion.
How do I want to shop?
How do I want to shop?
Yeah.
And that changes for every customer every day of the week. Sometimes I love going into store. Sometimes I'm shopping online. It's 1 a.m. I've had it today and I need to get something delivered before the weekend, and that's what I'm doing. And that's going to be different for every single customer.
Yeah, it really is. It really depends on the customer, right?
Yeah.
It really needs to be a kind of their choice, allowing them a raft of choice. That's what we need to empower them. Awesome. Look, I have one last question I wanted to get to actually, and this is a really important one because I wanted to put this to Melissa. We started this podcast to bring different perspectives to commerce, and in terms of evolving and often debated, especially in comparison to retail media, how do you define commerce media? How does David Jones define commerce media? And I love your personal perspective on this. What's the impact on customers and your brands?
Yeah, I think to me, commerce media is broader, and it's probably the things that sit outside of our network. It is in the other channels, not our own channels. And for me, that's the sort of distinction. In Amplify, we offer the bridge because you can play off-site with us, but we've got a lot of the bulk of our inventory is in our retail media owned network.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I think it plays back to that question around omnichannel and customers. They shouldn't be able to tell the difference. It should be a seamless shopping experience, whether you're in your social app, whether you're on a desktop website, whether you're on our website. It shouldn't matter how you're getting back to that final transaction. For the customer, it should be seamless. And I think the more as an industry that we lean into thinking about it being more seamless, putting it less in silos, the more successful we'll be in influencing that customer journey.
Right.
And that's the big challenge, I think, with the growth of retail media is how do agencies approach that? How do they think about how they recommend that seamless flow from the channels they've always booked and recommended into this new space, which has the same set of channels in a very targeted space so that the customer can't tell the difference? Because the customers are everywhere. They're in store, they're on different parts of the web, they're on different bits of social. Again, where can we meet the customer? Where does it serve them?
Yeah.
And ultimately, all of it's geared to getting the final sale. So we want to move you down the funnel in whichever way you'd like to come, in whichever squiggly line you want to travel that back up and down, finally come out the bottom and then come and repeat with us, whether you're endemic or non-endemic to David Jones.
Nice.
Awesome. Melissa, you guys are doing incredible work. It clearly leading in regards to innovation, data, and from a retail media perspective here in Australia. Are you being influenced by certain leadership in different organisations, or what are you seeing internationally? Like, what stands out to you?
Definitely, particularly while we were preparing to launch Amplify, which was a good couple of years, we obviously looked at the global landscape. I think Harrods is best in class. We looked at a lot of the other department store models. They've been doing it the longest, I think, 20 years. Such an interesting story around. They had this sort of one media guy that was like, hey, let's stop giving away all of our media and monetize it. And now it's a huge business. It basically funds all of their department store marketing. And then there's a huge margin in that as well. So I think
I didn't know that.
In one of the most premium department stores in the world, that is an absolute North Star for us. On a lot of levels, but in retail media as well, Harrods Partnerships was definitely a business that we took a lot of learnings from and looked at what they'd done. And then in the US, Nordstrom is, I think, a leader and someone that we see our brand aligned with in terms of sort of curation of brands and the level of offer.
Yeah.
And they've also been extremely innovative. And both of those businesses are a lot more progressed and established than Amplify is. But yeah, we had a lot of great insights. Interestingly, we chose to do somewhat of the heavy lift first and the ladder lift last. Like I mentioned, Criteo and that sort of ad serving Nordstrom are another client of Criteo. And that was sort of one of their first things that they launched as part of their retail media business. We launched our entire network of owned media before we got to that.
Yeah, right.
But certainly having great relationships across the globe with businesses like that and a great connect into Nordstrom. I know Scott Pfeiffer, our CEO, and James have also had some very great conversations with the leaders in that team and brought those learnings back to us. And certainly in terms of being able to engage our broader business, not just the people working in Amplify, being able to call on examples and say, well, Harrods do it like this and Nordstrom do it like that as brands that everyone feels like, yes, that's something that David Jones should look to, was also a key tool in delivering the huge management that we had to do to get this live. So
Going back to that trilogy that you mentioned before, both those brands would have to get that right. I mean, that triple win, because they've got such a great brand themselves. It'd have to be the right fit. They'd have to know their audience, because it would be bizarre to be in Harrods and get the wrong experience in a luxury location like that. So it sounds like those two are really great to look at that trilogy that you mentioned before.
Yeah, absolutely. And they'll continue to be the North Star, as I said, for retail media and department store. I think they're two best-in-class examples globally. So we're very happy to consider them as peers, and we'd love to think that in the Australian market, we can have that same position that they hold in their markets.
So we talked about that rich data set and knowing your audience. How can you segment your audience? What do you know about your audience? Obviously the transactional data is that rich set of data, but how do you go further to understanding, a particular segment?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have multiple data points, obviously, that we use. The big ones are our online transactions. So we, have a lot of information about where you live and how frequently you shop from your profile. That's often linked to our David Jones Rewards program, which is our sort of base of customers that we can communicate with via email. And then the other one for us is our David Jones credit card. So having that financial services product also enriches the data. And that's great for understanding, some of the metrics, some of the demographics, certainly the product level, brand level, category level, purchase behavior beyond purchase intent, as I mentioned. But then the other enhancement is partnerships that we have with the likes of Experian.
Mm-hmm.
So then being able to wash our data with prosaic segmentation to understand not just demographics, but psychographics, life stage.
Yeah,
and that helps us sort of lean into where I spoke about which channels for which cohorts, really deepening our understanding of the customer, and then understanding how they consume media and platforms and engage with those platforms. And then if there's a brand that wants to go after a particular segment A, the first class live segment in the Experian Mosaic model, is our largest segment. They are Australia's most affluent individuals. We have 2/3 of individuals and 100% of households in that segment shopping at David Jones. And then the other cohorts that are also the affluent cohorts are very prevalent in our base, is a really great equalizer, because a lot of businesses use that. So yes, we've got our own way of being able to segment and look at by brand, by category. But then if you want to zoom out, if you're a non-endemic and you want to speak to that sort of psychographic and lifestyle segmentation, we have a tool for that as well. And we'll continue to enhance and grow with that. And when we spoke about reporting and AI, that will be another great enhancement that will bring, is it will supercharge the audience building. And in working with Criteo, we've also been able to use our data in a different way to look at audiences there. So there's a lot of things happening in that space, but certainly those third-party partnerships and data points will help to sort of enrich our data and then be able to supercharge the sort of ability to segment and not be so wasteful in trying to reach that customer, which has been delivering some great results across the board.
So we normally finish our podcast with a game. So this one's like a quick fire question, word association. So I'm just going to say a couple of words and you just say like the word that pops back in your head, right? Ready? So retail.
Media.
Oof.
For the win.
TikTok.
Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Am I doing this right?
Yeah. Do it how you want to do it.
Credit card.
I would say David Jones credit card.
Video.
Commerce.
AI.
Graphics.
Okay.
Perfect.
Melissa, thank you so much for today.
Yes, thank you.
We've been desperate to have you on and we really appreciate your time and your insights. You're all over this.
And love what Amplify's doing.
Yeah, he's in great hands. If you're leading that team, which you are, is doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much, guys. I could chat to you for hours. This has been super fun.
Thanks.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. You're awesome. That was awesome.
Thank you for listening to the Commerce Media Matters podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow and subscribe. We're always on the pulse of the ever-changing landscape of commerce media, ready to share the newest trends, insightful perspectives, and expert opinions with you. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep making media that matters. This podcast is executively produced and edited by Priya Tahazadeh, with co-producers Sandy Ho, Meg Lirish, and me, Rachel Fang. This podcast is recorded on the lands of the Bidjigal, Gadigal, and Wurundjeri people, and we wish to acknowledge them as the traditional owners of the land.